Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe my channel, like my video, and do not forget to click the notification button. You're with me, Hanleck, on Hanleck's TV. Many of you are wondering, how can I see Malawi? How can I come to Malawi? That's why I'm giving you videos about Malawi, so that you should know that it is worth it to come to Malawi, whether to do business or just to visit. We're not going to make a mistake. Do so. Malawi is very beautiful country for you to come. It is like a country which has got everything for business, beauty attraction, and many more things that you would like to see. So little has been said about Malawi. The onus is upon us to begin exposing the nation to potential investors. Some of you feel like this is not thing that should be done, to begin putting the nation on the public internationally, because we are not yet there for us to be known internationally. I should tell you, why are we hiding? Why don't we want people to see how Malawi is like? We should study speaking about Malawi. We should study making the world know where Malawi is. Nothing is too bad about this nation, actually. We just need maybe to do some more work as far as perfect development is concerned, because we haven't done much. We haven't tightened the knots for development. We need to fine-tune the infrastructure development in the nation. We can do better by beginning to work very hard as a nation to come up with the modern and smart infrastructure development. If there are no potential investors to actually emphasize on building our nation to the highest standard, we can do it by ourselves. We can start doing it. You know, in the continent of Africa, foreigners are the ones who are much interested in investment and business involvement. The locals have been discouraged to start businesses and investment. And that's why Africa is not developed greatly, because foreigners will only invest where they have got interest. If they will be able to make money by the investment they are making, they will invest in that particular area. But if the locals, if Africans themselves were able to do business in the continent, I should tell you, Africa would have been developed, because it's like you are giving economic empowerment to the locals to start doing businesses, and which is a good thing to do. We cannot be locals who are just idle. There's nothing we are doing. How do we expect the nation to develop without us being involved in the development of the nation? It is impossible for the nation to develop without us doing work. I should say here that if you want to see the better Africa, the developed Africa, Africans themselves, they must start doing work to develop the nation. They should take the leading role of development. We're busy doing politics while the foreigners are investing in oil, mining, textile industries, banks, shops, manufacturing. They are take control of all businesses in the nation, and you are complaining because you are not developed. Why? Everything has been owned by somebody who is not African, but he is investing in Africa because he has seen the need, has seen the business that is good in the continent. When we begin to talk like this, some people will be saying, no, you're attacking the continent. Why are you doing so? I'm not attacking the continent. I'm speaking the truth because I know. And all the problems that we're having in the continent is because the locals haven't been empowered. Locals are the beggars. They want to be employed by somebody who is investing in the continent. And there are not enough jobs in Africa today because African companies owned by African people are not many. And the governments in Africa, I don't know why they did this. They privatized all companies that were owned by the government. That was a bad decision. I've heard by the former president of my country who said that he was told by the International Monetary Fund to privatize government companies. And they were all sold. And that was only the big risk he did to the nation. And today we are struggling about employment because the companies were sold to people who cannot even manage the companies. And all the companies which were sold, most of them have been dissolved. Or they're not operating fully. Because the people who bought the companies have no capacity to run them. We need to know that if we want to see the continent getting better, coming out of the poverty, African people must be empowered financially. They must be taking the leading role to develop the continent. They must work very hard, investing in the areas that they can invest. And government should support them. If we do that, we'll develop. If we do that, we'll come out of the poverty. If we do that, our lives will be better. If we do that, there's going to be employment. If we do that, there's going to be beautiful laws everywhere. I tell you. But some of you think like something will come just out of nowhere into our continent to make us have beautiful cities. Nothing will happen out of nowhere. It must start now, empowering the local people to have financial capacity and independence, to be able to make decisions about this nation as far as development is concerned. Locals should not only be taught to go to school to study metrics, to study history, to study biology, and study English. That's enough. This is not what we should be doing, only going to school to study history, to study all these things. We must begin to think about investment. We can go to school, but investment should be a priority. Teach our children to do business. Teach our children to be financially independent, not to be educated. Because we've been going to school, education has done nothing to African people. We're still poor. Despite going to school to study grammar. What is the benefit of grammar to an African person? We don't need grammar for us to be developed. We need to start businesses from the child stage. Our parents, if they had capacity or independence financially, they would have been teaching us how to do business and to give us inheritance if they die. But nothing like this has been happening in Africa. That's why we are poor. Sometimes it makes me feel sorry when I see the continent of Africa still begging for help to run a country. They're begging money from China in order to build laws in the continent. Government is still begging in order for it to manage its resources. We cannot survive like this in this continent of Africa. If we would like to be respected, we need to begin to do things by ourselves. What don't we have for us to develop? We have everything, but why are we still begging for everything? Everything that you're seeing in this continent, in this video, most of the things that you are seeing in this video, the buildings and everything, are owned by foreigners. Not that I'm bad with foreigners. I don't like foreigners. I'm not saying like that. But what I'm saying is, why are we not doing likewise? Local people, why are they not empowered to do these things? Do you tell me we cannot own businesses? We cannot learn businesses by ourselves? Do you tell me we don't have wisdom to understand how business work? We know we have wisdom to do business, but we don't have empowerment, financial empowerment to do our things. If we are not empowered, how can we learn businesses? If you don't have capital, how can you start a small business? The family of 20 children, there's nobody else in that family who can do things by himself. Maybe just one person is financially independent out of 20 children. And do you tell me as a single person out of 20 people will be able to help the whole 20 people? If that particular person has only capacity as an individual to do things because he got educated and has got a job which is paying him $20 a month. Let's do things as one people in this continent to begin to think how we can learn our continent, how we can build our roads, how we can make our countries beautiful and best. Before we start anything, we always ask people who can give us wisdom or plans how we can make our countries better. And most of the times we ask wisdom from the wrong people. Because simply they're rich, simply they're powerful internationally, we always go to them and ask them the ideas how we can do these things. And we always even beg them for help to help us start doing the thing we want to do. We should stop relying on the people who don't want us to develop, but they want us to be backward all the time. Africa is our continent. Africa is ours. We need to understand that if we don't develop this continent, nobody else will develop it. If we should not take the leading role to start developing our nation, nobody will develop our nations in the continent of Africa. We should start developing this continent by ourselves. Let's build it the way we want. We can develop in this continent. It is possible. And I'm talking this because I feel bad when I see many people in Africa still struggling to make it. In the 21st century, African person is struggling to survive. Is not able to have his own food. Women, girls are not able to survive. They're finding it so difficult to live and survive. This cannot be so. We need to change this trend. If we love one another, we are going to do something to make this continent better and best. We're not going to tolerate people to continue misuse us and looking down upon ourselves. Thinking we cannot develop, we cannot do things by ourselves. No! We should start thinking better way. That we've got capacity to build our nations in Africa. We can do great things as Africans if we have capacity. I know we may be thinking like things will never change in the continent because of the way things are happening, in particular in my country, Malawi. Things are worsening every day. And I wonder why things are getting so difficult. Problems are happening because as Africans, we have not been financially independent. And the people who control the money will control the government, will control the people. So if money is with the foreigners, they're controlling the government and controlling the people. They're making any decisions that are affecting the nation negatively. We can change this thing. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.